Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another interesting episode of the Titan Upcast. I am your host, Joshua Mickle, and this looks unorthodox. That's because it is. My schedule is literally that busy that I finally have a moment to talk about yesterday's game. Today is Victory Monday. Victory Monday, with the Titans win against the Arizona Cardinals, 22-21. Now, let's just get that clear and obvious thing out of the way, and that is true with the fact that the Arizona Cardinals did the ultimate screw the pooch choke job yesterday, with their 2 fumbles and a questionable third down play before we actually got the ball back. But that third down play is almost meaningless in the long run. But in terms of the overall feel, we have to acknowledge this out of the way. The Cardinals screwed the pooch big time. And it's one of the biggest reasons why the Titans even had a chance of winning this game here. For the first win of the year in weird, spectacular fashion. But how's it feel to win? I'm finally today at work able to wear some Titans gear, wear my Cam Ward jersey today. Feels good to finally win. I'll take one win if it's only one win this year, but I'll take it, and it definitely feels good to win again. It's been over 400 days since the Titans last had a win. And just a quick little preview to next week versus the Raiders, that apparently they are not a good team, evidently. So there is a really slight, maybe not too big of a chance, but still slight chance that the Titans, for the first time in God knows how long, now that I'm trying to think about it, when was the last time the Tennessee Titans had back-to-back road wins? I honestly could not think of one. We certainly didn't get it last year with Callahan, because we had the 3 separate wins with Miami, and then New England, and then Houston. Then after that, and before that, you had Vrabel won the season finale versus the Jaguars at home. But that was a home game, so you'd be hard-pressed to try to find out when was the last home, back-to-back road stretch playoffs. And this is one of the things of trying to do this while driving, because this car does not have a particular... Yeah, there you go again. This car does not have a particular thing to hold it on, so I apologize for that right there. My drive should be smooth sailing from here. All right. It's been a long time since back-to-back road wins, but we will see how that plays out with the Raiders in Vegas. I know my wife is going to be rooting for Pete Carroll because for some reason she likes Pete Carroll. She can never explain a really logistical, real reason as to why, but it is what it is. But first things first, and I'm going to get the negatives out of the way. The first 3.5 quarters of the Cardinals, and the same thing versus the Houston Texans, which during the whole teardown of Zoe conference that we had, which was successful this past cycle, was really good. Hence, there's no episode, but I was able to hear the game in my ear. There wasn't much to watch, apparently, because we scored zilch on the scoreboard. Zilch on the scoreboard. So, with that being said, the first 3.5 quarters was no different than the rest of our previous 2 games versus the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. Our offense, before the last 3 drives of the game versus the Cardinals, was just dead. It is just uninspiring. Receivers can't catch balls. Ken Ward, for some of them, are slightly just missing it, but it doesn't help that when the times he's not missing them, the receivers are dropping the freaking ball. And so, and the play calling is no help whatsoever either. the play calling tendency to run the football more so than passing the football. We cannot be that team that just runs it just for the heck of it. We need to... The whole premise of you must run the football in order to open up the passing game. For the Tennessee Titans, for the last 2 to 3 years, including the last year of Vrabel, when we had Derrick Henry and Will Levis is Ryan Tannehill, and to an extent Malik Willis, even that year, and including this year and last year with Brian Callahan, it is the opposite. Teams stack the box like there's no tomorrow because they don't respect the pass game. For us, it is the opposite. We need to take advantage of those passing lanes, and I'd much rather live in a world where we are passing the ball and Cam Ward is making those throws when he is, and the receivers are dropping the balls. I'd much rather live in that world when we have more drops compared to being stuffed in the line of scrimmage and, Tony Pollard fumbled the football again. So he has fumbling issues now. So, wonderful. Tony Pollard has fumbling issues. Tajay Spears was back. Oh my God, he's back. No impact whatsoever on the game. No impact whatsoever. Tajay Spears. No impact. And then, finally, those last 3 drives. I don't care how we came about those drives. I don't care how we got there. The fact that we had those opportunities and what happened matters. Cam Ward, Miami vintage Cam Ward, showed his face and showed why we selected him first overall. The dude commanded the offense, made the right throws when he was supposed to, came clutch in the moments he was supposed to. Now, that interception was tipped, so I'm not blaming that interception completely on him. Like 100%, like, oh my God, what a bad throw. The ball was tipped and it got intercepted. And then the utter fluky thing happened with the Cardinals of fumbling it. And then we have the Traylon Burks special of a wide receiver recovering a fumbled football for a Titans touchdown with Tyler Lockett. Welcome to the touchdown club, Tyler Lockett. Interesting note. I think this is the first ever game this year where we have multiple touchdowns. We have multiple touchdowns in a game because we didn't have one versus Denver. We had the one to Io Manor and versus the Rams before halftime, and then we had the one versus the Colts again to Io Manor. Outside of that, we matched our touchdown total this year in just the last game, and Cam Ward's fourth quarter passing surpasses all his first 3 games combined, individually combined, where he almost had 200 yards passing in the fourth quarter yesterday, whereas he couldn't even sniff 200 yards his previous few games. And so finally he shows, we finally see vintage Cam Ward throwing the balls, throwing dimes, throwing lasers. And Chigakonkwo, hello, welcome to the first half of the season for the first time in your career as a Titans player, because he famously doesn't show up until the end of the year, essentially. And then it gets you all worked up. It's like, oh, Chigakonkwo, it's going to be good this year. And you're waiting, it's like, and then after Thanksgiving, now he shows up. Chigakonkwo finally showed up today, early with this game, his performance. I know a lot of people are going to give slack to Brian Callahan to not go for 2 when we scored that first touchdown and it led to go for the extra point, I would have personally gone for the extra point as well. Because mathematically, and especially with this particular team, you don't know how many more chances you're going to get. And by the way, I don't know why there's a honk right there. I'm like going the opposite direction. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. I would get the extra point myself as well. Because you don't know what kind of chances you're going to get with this team of getting the ball back. You don't know if you're going to get more than one chance to get the ball back. And then Joey Sly still missed the extra point. And then as that happened, I just laid back, head over my couch. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. We can't catch a break. We just can't catch a freaking break. And it just goes once again to the whole stigma of since Brian Callahan has been our head coach for the Tennessee Titans, we have not been a good team, yes, but 9 times out of 10, the ball and luck are just against us. We have the baddest of luck possible. And finally, some bounces go our way. Some luck finally goes in our direction. And with that, I mean, it feels good to win. It finally feels good to win. And those last 3 drives, we ran the ball less than 10 times. Like, I want to say around 5-6 times. I could be wrong. I don't have my stats in front of me like I normally do. But it should go to show you that, as I'm trying to make this turn here without the phone falling off. All right. It goes to show you that that we need to be more aggressive passing the ball. We can't be playing like this year. Cannot be, let's try to win as much as possible. If you win the game, the goal this year, if you win games, that is icing on the cake. The goal this year is to see, what can Cam Ward do? Can he throw the ball effectively? Can we have some good, decent playmakers at wide receiver? Maybe at running back with Mullins, or can we keep Tajay Spears if he can stay healthy? Can Gunnar Helm do something for us? Can Chikakonko be consistent and maybe we resign him? I don't think we're going to resign him, but you guys know enough before you can make that decision. Our plays, like our play calling this year, veering 70% run, it feels like, is not going to do anyone any favors. And I know this apparently is, there's no proof of him saying it, but the actions speak louder than words. And Callahan did admit this, I think, before or after the Colts game, where he said, yes, I have not opened up the entire playbook for Cam Ward yet. And I believe Bo Hardigree, our interim play caller, is doing the exact same thing. Why the heck are we not opening up for Cam Ward? Why? I know we won, but this is just a frustrating thing with me, that going forward, you see what Cam Ward can do throwing the football. You see the good that we can do. Why not more of it? Why not? We got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose whatsoever. And again, this is going to be a fun week, trying to relish on this win and laugh at the Cardinals and enjoy this win for Cam Ward, which, again, I will say this. I will take this first win for Cam Ward than Will Levis's or Marcus Mariota's first wins. Because when you look at those two, with Mariota and Levis, their first wins, they were shooting fireworks. They were out of the gate on fire. They were hot. They were making deep, sexy throws. Everyone was going, oh my goodness, the NFL needs to be put on notice. We are going to be doing something special here. What happened after those first initial impressions? They fell off a cliff image-wise and also appeal-wise, because they never had another game coming close to that for the rest of their career. I mean, Mariota, you can make the argument. Some can say, oh, his playoff game is just as good as his first game. I'll argue it's not. I'll argue that the 2016 hammering and dominant performance versus the Green Bay Packers in 2016 at Nissan Stadium was Marcus's Mariota follow-up game, if just as good as the first impression that he gave us week 1 versus the Bucs for his rookie outing. This one for Cam Ward, you can follow this up. You can say, hey, here's the good that he's done. He's missed some throws here, obviously. It wasn't pretty, but it's something he can build upon. It's something he can learn and definitely have much better performances going forward. He can definitely have much better. Yeah, the road's getting bumpy here. Yeah, bumpy road. Welcome to Memphis for you, where there's tons of potholes apparently. But yeah, this first win, definitely, I would take this over the first wins of Mariota or Levis, because Cam Ward will definitely, for sure, have better games than this overall going forward in his young career, and he has plenty to learn on. He has plenty to do, and I'll tell you what, man. I mean, he called it like he said last week. He said, you know what he said after that. And then after that, apparently, these tight turns. Okay. All right. Right there. But yeah, after those initial comments, this team seems to have found its stride. And this defense yesterday, yes, it's against the Cardinals. Again, we have to emphasize, this was not against the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Ravens, which had, the Ravens are just, what the heck happened to them? And the signature Vrabel win that he got last night versus the Bills will leave Patriots fans with that false hope that we've had for years. Hey, we got a good team. Oh my goodness. We're beating the best teams. Yeah. Just let them pull you in, and then you're going to be disappointed eventually. All right. As I arrive to my destination here, to close this out, we know this was against the Arizona Cardinals. We know that. But this defense, despite the, you know what yesterday showed? Yesterday showed that when the offense has a pulse, when the offense has some spark to show, this defense will answer. This defense will answer the call. So far, the first 4 games, the offense did zilch for the defense. If this offense can be more consistent, show some life, then they will not be breaking down as much in the second half in the fourth quarter for the rest of the games that we're in. Because this defense has enough talent where if you provide them a spark, some sense of hope, that they will get you stops. They will get you opportunities to show out on offense. This defense gave this offense multiple opportunities, and they squandered them in the first 3 quarters of yesterday. But the defense still had another few stops in them. Snead running down with footsteps behind the running back that inadvertently did the Deshaun Jackson move, not hold on to the ball while crossing the end zone. Jeffrey Simmons with with the fumbles, with the sacks. And then the third down stop for us to get the ball back. This defense has enough talent. To where if your offense can provide you something, this defense can live off of that spark and that fuel that you're giving them. Because outside of that, this defense will wear down from the intensity of Denard Wilson if this offense cannot provide one semblance of life. And so yesterday, albeit in the wackiest of ways, the defense provided this offense with some spark. And with that spark, they rewarded them. Those few drives when the defense is not on the field, they have a chance to rest on the sidelines. They have a chance to see what the offense can do down the field and score touchdowns in games. They have a chance of seeing what that looks like. To see their efforts be rewarded. And so, with that being said, for this particular episode, in the car for a nice drive, we look forward to going to Vegas for the first time in franchise history and going up against Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders. And maybe we can notch 2 in a row here. Because I'll tell you what, slim chance we win, because again, we're just a pathetic team overall besides the last 3 drives versus the Cardinals. If you come out of next weekend with 2 wins in a row, how big does that Mike Vrabel Patriots home game in Nashville become? It becomes even bigger, in my opinion. Because if you come out of this 0-4 hole, now 2-4, and you can make a game out of it at home versus Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, and you go 3-4, how drastic does the narrative switch on this team? It's not going to happen. I refuse to believe it. I still remain planted in reality. But you cannot ignore what can possibly be on the table here. If those last 3 drives versus the Cardinals can be a springboarding opportunity for this offense to finally show some life through 4 quarters of a game, to come up big in the clutch, for our kicker to make clutch kicks, which was his first ever game-winning field goal kick, by the way. You can't ignore this possibility. Although it's very, very small, the possibility is there. And the likelihood is there. It's small. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. Would I be surprised if it happens? Yes, no, because I have lived through 0-6 and then we went 5 straight. In 2009, when Vince Young got inserted into the lineup, when we went 5 straight, and we are still the only team in NFL history to lose our first 6 and then win our next 5. We were that close to being the first ever team to start out 0-6 and make the playoffs. We were that close. I lived through that. I have seen it, okay? So would I be shocked if we pop off versus the Raiders and then we have that chance to really make a statement versus Vrabel? I would not be surprised. But in reality, I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm more excited to watch the game now going forward, because now I want to see what the follow-up is. What is the sequel to this ending versus the Cardinals? What is the sequel to this going to be versus the Raiders? And with that, my name is Joshua Mickle, and enjoy this car ride with me, apparently. And we'll see you next time.